The official party includes the Honorable Chuck Hagel, Secretary of Defense, the Honorable John M. McHugh, Secretary of the Army, General Ray Odierno, Chief of Staff of the Army, and Sergeant Major of the Army, Raymond F. Chandler III.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And let us pray. Lord God, we are bound at all times to this occasion of the United States Army birthday to give thanks for those who have gone before us and who sought to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly in service. We thank you for the hallowed memories and sacred sentiments that this day evokes. Help us continue the good work begun so long ago. Hold us to truths higher than ourselves, to standards which demand our best, and to principles tested by time and confirmed in experience. As we celebrate the Army birthday, O God, we ask only this, that you would grant us the strength and power to continue our efforts to inspire in others the interest, the obligation and responsibilities that we owe to this land for the sake of future generations, so that we can always look back when the candle of life burns low and say, thank God I've contributed my best to the land that contributed so much to me. This we offer and pray in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Ray Odierno.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many people here. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it outside, although the Army often trains in the rain. And in fact, we love the rain. We decided that it would be better we moved it inside today. Secretary Hagel, thank you, sir, for being here. Secretary McHugh, my boss and battle buddy, and my other battle buddy, Sergeant Major, thank you. Deputy Secretary of Defense, thank you. Undersecretary of the Army. General officers, other representatives from the Army staff, OSD staff, thank you so much for being here. I want to specifically point out our wounded warriors that are here. And the reason is because they represent something about our Army that I think is important. There's three things that they represent to me. First is sacrifice. That every time that we're asked to do something, there is sacrifice involved. But more importantly, what they represent is dedication and resiliency. These young men and women who've been injured in combat, every time I have a chance to talk with them or see them, remind me of how resilient we are. And that we're resilient as an institution, and they represent who we are and what we have been for 238 years. And for me, that's what this is about, is thinking back and remembering who we are. We started out as an all-volunteer force in 1775. And today we remain an all-volunteer force. Our nation today continues to call on us. If you look at the Army colors, 187 battle streamers are on the Army colors. 187. That's centuries of combat. That's centuries of sacrifice. That's centuries of dedication. And as I go around and I talk to people, I tell us that we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. Those from the time of the Revolutionary through modern times, who gave up everything in order to defend our nation because they believe in who we are. They believe in what our nation is about. And when there was an issue, they call the Army. And the Army always shows up. The Army is always ready. And the Army is always there to do the job when asked. And we've continued to do that over the past 12 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, where we've had over 2.5 million soldiers deploy and over 600,000 deploy 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And I remind everybody, as you go down the hallway, always look on the right sleeve of our blues, because it tells you how many combat tours they've had. It's important for people to understand that. That's what they represent. And as you walk around here and you walk around our Army, you'll see many that have many, all the way up their sleeve. And that's the sacrifice that they bring. Over 4,800 soldiers have made the ultimate sacrifice. Over 35,000 have been wounded. But over 15,000 medals of valor have been handed out. 7 medals of honor, with a few more on the way. 27 distinguished service crosses, with one more that I signed yesterday, getting ready to be awarded. And almost 700 silver stars. That talks about personal courage. That talks about bravery. But most of all, it talks about who we are about. It's about trust between each other. Trust between our soldiers, trust between our soldiers and leaders, trust between our soldiers, leaders of the Army, and trust between the Army and the American people. Because that's who we represent, those values. And we will fight tooth and nail to ensure that we sustain those values, because we stand on the shoulders of those who come before us. And before I sit down, I'd be remiss if I don't mention the families. Our families who don't wear a uniform, but sacrifice just as much as if they wore a uniform. Whether they're traveling from base to base with their soldier, or whether they're waiting for them to come home after a long deployment, or their second deployment, or their third deployment, or their fourth deployment, they are there. They are there building a community where our children can grow. They are there raising our families while their husbands or wives or mothers or fathers or sisters, daughters are away. That's who we're about, a family. This is our Army family, and this is a time to celebrate that we are part of a family that's something special. And it's about time for us to celebrate and be proud of what we have done. I'm incredibly proud that I have the opportunity to wear this uniform, and I've been able to wear it for 37 years. And I'm proud that I've had the opportunity to stand beside millions of soldiers who raised their right hand and said, I want to defend the Constitution of the United States. I volunteer to do that, and I volunteer so we can keep this nation the best nation in the world. And as we go through these trying times, I promise you one thing, that today we're the best Army in the world. 2 years from now, we'll be the best Army in the world. 5 years from now, we'll be the best Army in the world. And 10 years from now, we'll be the best Army in the world, because that's who we are. The strength of our nation is our Army. The strength of our Army is our soldiers. The strength of our soldiers is our families, and that's what makes us Army strong. Happy birthday, United States Army. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Odierno. Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of the Army, the Honorable John M. McHugh.
Thank you. Let me give you the good news about being inside. You know, when you get to be 238 years old, you have to start worrying about premature aging of the skin. So, you know, we're going to save a fortune on sunscreen here today, which I know makes the DepSecDef very happy because it's more money for other good things. But as the chief said, we're thrilled that our flexibility, our ability in the Army to adapt has come into play here, and we're thrilled as well that each and every one of you were able to join us. I always get into trouble when I begin to thank individual people, and the Chief, Sergeant Major, Gene, Deputy Secretary of Defense, my partner and the Undersecretary of Defense. I just promoted you, Undersecretary of the Army. But let me tell you, the second row is important, third row is important. Good to see the fourth row here. How you doing in 7, 8? All of you are very, very welcome guests. But again, as the chief noted, a particular welcome and word of appreciation to our wounded warriors. You know, I was a political science and history major in college, and if I wanted to learn about this great country and how we became the longest-lived democracy the world has ever known, I'd usually go get a book. Today you get a computer. If you really want to know how we came to be this great nation, you look into the eyes of these wounded warriors. You see the strength that they bring, and it's really a reflection of the celebration that we have here today. We are especially pleased that the Secretary of Defense, our leader, Chuck Hagel, has been able to carve time out of what is an incredibly busy schedule, traveling from one trouble spot to another, all of the work that has to go on. Mr. Secretary, we're both honored and thrilled with your presence. We're looking forward to your continued leadership. And I want to give you a thumbs up on that string you're continuing. You're the second Secretary of Defense in a row that's an Army veteran, so good job on that. So, beyond being here, as the chief said, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank all of you for your service. Most of you are in this building because you work here. All of you are in this building because you care. And whether you're a member of our Army family, uniform or civilian, or a member of the DoD family, and I see many departmental officials here, we are all on this team called the United States of America, and we deeply appreciate the effort, the sacrifice, the commitment that you bring to this building and to this effort each and every day. You know, the Army birthday is a celebration of the collective spirit of everyone who's ever donned the uniform, who has sacrificed, and in our case, for more than 238 years now. And since our nation's founders first established the Continental Army, we, as part of the Army family, have enjoyed a truly rich heritage of successfully defending this country, successfully defending our citizens, and perhaps as much as anything, the high ideals upon which this nation was built and which continue to bind us. And taking time to reflect on the bravery of our soldiers in that noble calling that began first in 1775 is really what this Army Birthday Week, what this particular celebration is all about. As many of you know, right now, as we sit here and stand here and celebrate more than 163,000 of those truly incredible soldiers are forward stationed. They're deployed in some 150 countries, and most notably, of course, Afghanistan. And they're doing a lot of different things, perhaps nothing more important than defending those stars and stripes that we sang to just moments ago. Defending those things that symbolize this country and those high ideals that have always made us great. And so I would suggest both today and this evening, but every day and every evening, you keep those men and women in your thoughts and your prayers, and you join with this nation in being thankful that each and every one of them are there now, as they have been for the last 238 years, as they've rucked up and gone out in behalf of service to this great nation. They are, as each one of you is as well, really the strength of our future, and they do that by holding true the promise upon which the nation was first built. Looking forward to this ceremony, I began to think about birthdays, something I try not to do too often, particularly as I kind of click away the counter on my own life. But as individuals, each of us celebrates a birthday in our own ways, but most of us tend to reflect a bit. We think about the joys that we've been blessed with in our lives. We perhaps spend a moment or two on the sorrows we've also experienced, and we think a bit about what we might do in the coming year, the one that lies before us. And I don't know about you, but in recent years, when I do get a chance to blow out candles, I start thinking, well, I'm another year closer to that inevitable conclusion of a human life. Birthdays can be, as we say, bittersweet. I want to make a suggestion, if I may, for this year, for this occasion, that we consider, instead of turning a year older, the Army is really turning a year newer, a year better, a year stronger. I think that's really what this birthday should truly be about. We've celebrated the Army birthday 237 times before today. And each one of those years, rightfully, we've paused and thought about all of the battles, all of the wars that have been fought, those that have been won, the many, many lives that have been lost in pursuit of the cause, all the strife that has been endured. But in each one of those years, each one of those battles and conflicts, we did indeed emerge more resilient and stronger. And so on this, our 238th birthday, we should likewise reflect. We should remember. We should pay our respects to all those who have gone before. But I think we should take the time to face forward, to look at the upcoming year knowing we are better, knowing we are stronger, knowing because of the great sacrifice and the incredible achievements, particularly over the last 12 years, we're more resilient than we were in the past. As individuals, when we blow out the candles, that's kind of the custom. We always wish for something. But in this building, perhaps more than other places, we know that the old adage, wishing and hope is not a course of action. We don't just make wishes, we make plans. Deputy Secretary of Defense has had us planning like hell over the last several months, as by way of example. And we're going to plan for the years ahead. We're going to focus on the Army profession. And this year, we're going to enhance education and training and preparing our forces to be regionally and culturally engaged and globally responsible to meet future challenges wherever, whatever those challenges might be. And the goal of bringing focus to the Army profession is to acknowledge the truly inspiring choice made by all those who put on that uniform, all those who answer the call and step forward to serve. And as an Army, we have to recommit ourselves to that culture of service, to keeping in tune with the Army ethic and Army values. And when we celebrate the Army birthday, we celebrate the Army profession, a profession that is a way of life that's built on very important things like trust and encompassing military expertise, honorable service, esprit de corps, and responsible stewardship. All of these aspects of service and quality of character are what makes us, as the Chief says so often and so correctly, as he just did moments ago, truly the strength of our nation. And I'm honored to be here today, yes, as your secretary, but also to join with each one of you in celebration of yet another Army birthday, observed together, as we always are, part of the beloved Army family. So in moments, we'll get to the rearranged hot dogs and hamburgers outside and have a little bit of cake to keep up that Army strength that that comprises Army Strong. So happy birthday, United States Army. God love you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Secretary McHugh. Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Chuck Hagel.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Happy birthday. Mr. Secretary, thank you for your leadership and what you continue to do for this institution. General Odierno, for your leadership at a very challenging time in the history of the United States Army. Sergeant Major Chandler, thank you. You and your enlisted men and women continue to inspire us all. I want to also acknowledge and thank the DoD leadership present here today for what you continue to do for this institution and for our country. Thank you. Special acknowledgement and happy birthday to our oldest Army veteran here, wherever he is, Colonel Whittick. Where is Colonel Whittick? Colonel Whittick, happy birthday. Thank you. You never looked better. Yeah. And more fit. Also, our youngest Army representative here, I think is here somewhere, Private First Class Selling. And thank you, as we thank all of our members of the United States Army here today and all over the world. And we thank and celebrate those who have served in the United States Army and our veterans, and in particular, as Secretary McHugh noted, our wounded warriors here today and their families. Thank you for what you've done. I will begin my brief remarks with an acknowledgement, as the Chief and Secretary have already noted, to the families of our Army, current Army, our past Army, our future Army, for what you've done. And I think General Odierno said it pretty well. The sacrifices that families make are not covered in great glory or attention, but they deserve as much recognition and thanks as do our members. So to the families, thank you. Thank you. As has been noted, a 238th birthday is rather significant. That represents an institution that has essentially been around longer than the Republic and has grown as vibrantly and effectively and been as important to the world and to this Republic as any one institution. General Odierno talked about trust, and as we all know, that is the coin of the realm. And I would add one component to that, and that's confidence. I don't know of an institution in our country that has held the trust and the confidence of our citizenry more than the United States Army and the military. That's rather significant. Through the history of this country, I don't know of another country in the world that can say that. And that is the result of many, many things. But more than anything else, it's just as General Odierno talked about what has defined and shaped the culture, but it's the definition of why we have an Army. And I'll share with you two examples of what I'm talking about. Last 2 days, I had the great privilege of revisiting my former home, the Congress, in hearings. It's always a joyous event, as many of you know, especially our distinguished leaders in the front row here. And you're always much enhanced, and you earn your pay, of course, but you always learn a hell of a lot. And you're much enhanced as you leave those hearings, of course. Two interesting questions were asked during those three hearings, yesterday in particular, and they came from the House Budget Committee. One was about the Army and our military doing humanitarian work. Why would the military, the Army, be focused, have in its budget assistance for natural disasters around the world? And why is that important to your mission, or is that your mission? We thought the Department of Defense was about the security of our country. Well, it gave me an opportunity to address that, because many times that component of our force structure is lost. And I said, bottom line, when you look at what the soldier is about, more than any other part of our society, it's about preserving the peace, because it's the soldier, when we don't have peace, that makes the sacrifices. And so MacArthur said it eloquently, other great leaders in our country's history in the Army have said it. The soldier wants peace more than anyone else. And so when you look at investments in helping others, and we have countless examples from every war over the 238 years of this institution, great photographs of American GIs in World War II bending down on their knees, giving a young German boy or girl a chocolate bar. Former Chancellor of Germany, Helmut Kohl, used to tell the story, the first orange he ever saw in his life. He was 7 years old. The American troops were marching into this German village, and every German citizen was scared to death, thinking that they would be massacred. And the American troops hugged these children, gave them chocolate bars and oranges. And Kohl tells that story, told it many, many times. And tears would come to his eyes when he would tell that story. Well, the point being, what is a better investment in peace and stability and security and developing friendships and partnerships for the future of the world than what our military does in that capacity? Yes, we fight wars. We're the best at it, and have been, will continue to be, but there's another dynamic to what you do. Another question I was asked yesterday, well, Mr. Secretary, can you address the issue of the bifurcation, the split, misunderstanding in our society today when we have 1% of our population serves in the military? Is that healthy? Should we change that? Are you disconnected from society? Good question. It's a question that, matter of fact, when I was in the United States Senate, I more than occasionally spoke on the Senate floor. But part of the answer I gave back to the congressman was acknowledging it's a relevant question, it's an important question, but part of the way I would answer it, and I did answer it, is the continued astounding confidence and trust the American people have in this institution. Gallup's last 15 years of most trusted institutions in America, the military is in the stratosphere. Everybody else isn't doing well. But the military has stayed way the hell on top. And so that's good news in many ways. You could also say, well, yeah, but it's that 1% that bears all the burden, makes all the sacrifices, does all the fighting, does all the dying. That's true. But even with that difference, there is still an astounding respect for our military in society, even though they are disconnected, probably more so than any time in the history of this nation. And it still connects and resonates with the American public. Now, those values that were instilled and shaped this institution 238 years ago just weren't a narrative. They had to be sustained over 238 years. Duty, honor, country. I don't know if an institution has done that better than this institution. Thank you for what you are doing, what you've done, and what you continue to do for this country. These are difficult times. I don't have to tell any of you, especially for our Army leadership, having to deal with budget issues and these great uncertainties that hang over all of us. But if you ever want to put your money on an institution, you want to put it on the Army, because the Army has weathered a lot of things, and our military has, and we'll get through this, and we will get through this, and we will rebalance, and we will adapt, as we always have, and that'll be much because we will go back and stay anchored to the traditions and the values and the family and the partnerships of who we are as not just American citizens, but a part of a remarkable, remarkable institution that we celebrate today and we recognize today. Now, for 12 years, when I was in the Senate, had the privilege of serving the state of Nebraska, every June 14th, if the Senate was in session, I would go to the Senate floor and I would give a happy birthday speech to the Army. So it became the only thing I was ever known for, actually. But it would be brief, of course, and substantive, as all my speeches were. But I would always end it with a birthday greetings and a happy birthday and a very healthy hooah! There we go. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Secretary Hagel. And now soldiers from the Old Guard will recite the Soldier's Creed.
The Soldier's Creed.
I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough, trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I will always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself. I am an expert and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life. I am an American soldier.
The Army Birthday Cake, commemorating 238 years of service to the nation, is being brought forward. It was prepared by the non-commissioned officers and soldiers assigned to the Army Executive Dining Facility. Private First Class Andrew Selga, the youngest soldier in the Military District of Washington, and Colonel Arthur Whittick, the oldest soldier in the Military District of Washington, will join the official party for the cake cutting. Ladies and gentlemen, the Sergeant Major of the Army will lead the happy birthday song.
To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Army. Happy birthday to you. Mr. Secretary.
This is an Odierno-sized cake.
Please stand and join in the singing of the Army Song. The words of the Army Song are printed in your program. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the cake cutting ceremony. We would like to thank the Department of the Army Welfare Fund, a NAF-funded activity which supports the morale and welfare of HQDA military and civilian personnel, for funding today's refreshments. These refreshments, prepared by the talented non-commissioned officers and soldiers of our very own Army Executive Dining Facility, are available as you depart. Please remain in place as the official party and special guests exit the auditorium. Thank you, and happy birthday, Army.